Hey y'all, it's Bookishrealm and I'm back with another video, and Booktube is going to eat me alive for this one. Hey y'all, so as you can see, not as you can tea, well maybe because I'm giving some tea. Not really. I don't do the spilling the tea thing, just not me. I just don't do that. But I am here to talk about a topic that I think has been talked about quite a bit on Booktube. I'm not really bringing a new topic to the table, but it's a topic that I personally have not talked about. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set some kind of like parameters here, because I feel like I always have to do with these discussions. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. You are free to disagree with me, because one thing that I think the Booktube community does not do a good job at is agreeing to disagree. We're not going to all have the same opinions, and we're all individuals, and that's just life. Now, there are some things that I kind of stand my ground on because I think they're ethically, morally wrong, but I think that sometimes, as I've said before, we take situations and we make them very black and white, and they're not so black and white. So I think this is one of those topics. So the question on the table is, should Booktubers make money? I have seen so many discussions. Keep in mind, I've been in this community since 2014, prior to when sponsorships were a huge thing, prior to when getting monetized was such a huge thing. And the thing about it is that I have seen it become and it blossom into this very complex discussion of whether Booktubers should have sponsorships, whether they should be monetized, whether they should have Patreon accounts. And, you know, I'm in kind of the vein of mind where everyone can feel what they want to feel about it. I mean, who am I to tell you that you can't feel a certain way? But here are my thoughts, okay? I have been in the trenches with Booktube for a very, very long time. I did not officially start making money from Booktube until 2020, until last year is when I started making money from Booktube. I'm going to go ahead and be transparent. I'm not going to give you numbers because I just don't feel like that's anybody's business. But I'm going to tell you up front and frank before I even dive into this conversation. I don't make enough money from Booktube to sustain myself. That's with partnerships or sponsorships included. I can't make this a full-time job. You have to have an exorbitant amount of subscribers with an X amount of views in order to make the money that I think people think Booktubers are making. Now, I do think that there are people out there who flex and they make it very, very hard for some of us. However, it's down to individual circumstance, okay? I am a single mom. I work full time. Daycare alone for me is a damn mortgage payment, okay? I mean, just being transparent here. There is no way that I could sustain myself off of Booktube money, not even with sponsorships, not even with my Patreon. It just is not realistic. It could not even begin to cover what I needed to cover throughout the month. Does it help me save money? Yes. Does it help ease some stress off of me? Yes. Now, someone who may be in a different circumstance than me, who may not be living on their own, who may not have kids, who may not have to pay as much in terms of bills that I have to pay, then yes, it looks like Booktubers make a lot of money. Then there are those who have the followers and the view count in order to be able to sustain themselves with Booktube income, whether that is they literally are making enough money or they have a partner that's able to better support them. There is a lot of factors to consider, which is why I always say this question and answer is not black or white. It is very down to circumstances. Now, one of the interesting things that I've continuously heard, this has been discussed in live shows, Twitter, all across social media, is people can't stand that we all have the same sponsorships. It gets kind of, quite annoying. I can respect that as a viewer. I mean, quite frankly, I can't really argue with that. I know that we all pretty much work with the same companies and organizations. Hear me out on this though, okay? There are not many companies that are legit, because I have some companies that reach out to me on like a weekly basis, and I don't in my spirit feel like they're legit companies. Okay, so there are companies that are legit, and it's very few of them that want to work with Booktubers. There's not that many. So for those of us that have a reach, quote unquote, we do end up with the same sponsorships. Do I feel like from the perspective of a viewer that can be quite annoying? Absolutely. I mean, it really is. And I always ask people, if you were a creator and you were given a sponsorship, would you or would you not take it? Like, I see people criticize, for example, what's the one that people don't really, two big ones that I know that people don't like, that I've actively seen people talk about. People can't stand that we all do book of the month, which I get it, because we all do book of the month and they all come out around the same time, but that's contractual work. There are certain things that have to be done when it comes into sponsorships. I don't really know legally how much I can reveal and what I can't reveal, because it is contractual. So I don't want to give away too much, but you have to understand that there are certain guidelines and expectations that go into signing a contract with someone when you're doing the sponsorship. Regardless of how you think we should be appearing, what we should be saying, there's certain things that go behind it. Now, I think that everyone who, not everyone, but I think that it's a feeling, it's a good feeling to be like, dang, you know, somebody actually wants to pay me to do these things. I think sometimes people forget that there's a lot of work that goes into making videos. There's a lot of software behind it. There's equipment behind it. There's creative ideas, there's time. So I don't fault people for wanting to be paid for something that they're putting themselves into. Now, then that delves into a even more complex topic. When you start getting paid for the work that you're doing on BookTube, should you be held to a different standard than those that are not getting paid? I'm not going to delve into that right now, because I feel like I've talked about that a little bit, where it then becomes kind of like a business. And there are people who believe it should be run as such, but like I said, that's, if you want me to talk about that at a different time, I'm going to talk about that at a different time. I'm not going to do that here because this video will be extremely long. But the heart of what I'm trying to get to is that I think that it's easy to see both sides of the argument in this one. I don't even know if it's an argument, but both perspectives. As a viewer, as a creator, as a viewer, you want that honest, wholesome, and I want to say wholesome is not the right word, but you want those reviews, thoughts, and opinions that you know you can trust, that has no monetary incentive behind it. I understand that. That is a legit feeling, and I respect that feeling. I also understand it from the creator side, where it's like you put so much time and energy and investment into this that you want to see it grow. You want to say, you know, I make some pocket change from this. Like, this is a nice way for me to be able to, you know, sustain being able to buy books, or sustain being able to, you know, put some money aside. For me, I don't use the money that I make to buy books, to be quite honest with you. Like, my money ends up being saved, or it goes to things that need to be taken care of, because it helps balance things out for me as a single parent. It is, you know, it's a little different in my situation, which is why I think me coming from my perspective makes it probably a little more different. Now, I think that there are some unethical things that can be done when it comes to leveraging your audience for money. I think that there are individuals who have used this to their advantage in ways that I don't necessarily agree with, because, you know, I feel like you could be taking advantage of people and they don't realize that they're being taken advantage of. So yes, can things be done in a way that's not morally or ethically appropriate with money that people are making or attempting to get money from subscribers or viewers or whoever? Absolutely. But I think in the same fold, I don't agree with shunning. I don't agree with shunning or putting down booktubers who do take sponsorships. I think that for me personally, there's a healthy balance. I don't take every sponsorship that comes at me because I don't want, and this is me, it's none of my business if someone wants every video that they put up to be sponsored. That's their choice, that's their decision, that's their channel. I always say, honest to God, y'all, if you don't like it, stop watching. Like, why put yourself through that? I think that's probably one aspect of this conversation that I don't get, where people are like, I can't stand that X, Y, and Z, every video sponsor. Unsubscribe. Like, don't watch them, because all it's going to do is going to piss you off. It's going to raise your blood pressure. And guess what? You're actually fucking up your own health because the stress, the frustration, it's not good for your body. So I never understand, like, putting yourself through that stress because someone continuously makes content that you don't like, or you don't like the direction their channel is headed in. Like, leave them alone. And it's within your right to be like, you know what? I appreciate it when, you know, your content was a little bit more just, you know, just you, and not necessarily monetary incentive behind it. I can respect that. For me, I do take sponsorships because the opportunity is there, and I'm not going to sit here and try to, I guess, sugarcoat like, oh, well, you know, I get, no. I'm gonna be honest with you. The opportunity has presented itself, so I'm gonna take the opportunity. It's a good opportunity, but I also am about balance. So I personally choose not to make every video on my channel a means of sponsorship. I just don't do that because I don't feel comfortable with constantly putting out sponsored content, but that's my personal decision, and it's not my decision to make for anyone else. I think that as much as we want to give a definitive answer of whether booktubers should or should not make money, it definitely is more tricky than what we give it credit for. I think, once again, it's one of these conversations that's a little bit more nuanced. And I like to see people rewarded for the hard work that they put into their content. Now, some of y'all are going to disagree with me. Some of y'all going to be like, listen, I'm going to be 100, and everybody's content is not indicative of hard work. But, you know, like, I get that feeling too, but who are you to say that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what someone else is doing behind the scenes, or what they're sacrificing, or what they're doing. But I mean, you know, people do have those sentiments, and I can hear that sentiment and attempt to understand where they're coming from with that sentiment. I really do think that it probably is a little bit harder on viewers. I've had someone comment that, and it wasn't an ill will comment towards me or anything, but I think it was a comment that they wanted to just make in general about the fact that they felt some type of way sometimes about when they continuously saw sponsored content and people promoting things that they felt like they wouldn't typically promote, and that they wouldn't typically be interested in. It feels disingenuous, and I can understand that as a viewer, where everything starts to feel like a cash grab. And in some cases it just may be that, but I also think it's important to think about what circumstances could be behind the scene. Now, some people have revealed so much of their life that it makes things awkward when they use their platform as a leverage to get money from subscribers. Because when you create, and honestly, like, listen, if you want to come, you could come for me if you want to at this point. Like, I'm just like, because it's the truth. I think when you create a perception that there is wealth, or there's a level of comfort, and not necessarily got to be the rich of the rich, but you have comfort, and then you're leveraging your audience for money to take care of things that may not be their responsibility, it makes things a little weird. And that's a true and honest feeling I think that sometimes viewers get. It's like, you know, this is a little awkward. Like, I see certain things that you put out in terms of your content and what you may be showing about your life, and then you want to leverage me for money. Like it does create a very weird situation, because you don't know the full extent. You're only going off of what someone shows you, which is it's very tricky. I think we as creators have to be very careful about certain things and how we present certain things, because when you get into that type of situation, people are only going to go off of what you've shown them, not maybe what is really going on in the background. Like, I can sit here in front of all these books and really only have $20 to my name, which, you know, I have been in that situation, but you would never know that, because I'm not giving you that. I'm not giving you that information up front. And I think perception of wealth is a killer when it comes down to having these conversations. When you give off that impression, or it appears that you have, you know, monetary support, or you're comfortable monetarily, and then you flip the script and it's like, you know, I need X, Y, and Z, can you da 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 da, then it's like, whoa, you know. I'm saying that because I think that that is a legitimate feeling that people have, and I see where some people are coming from with that. Now, I'm not going to tell people how to spend their money either. If someone wants to donate to this, give money to this person, or if they have the means, I'm not going to judge them, because you don't know where they're like, well, you know what? I have the means to do it. Like, I'm not, you know, I want to support my favorite creator. If they need something and they need help doing, I'm going to support them because I enjoy their content. It's so many different angles that you can really view this conversation from, that I just can't for the life of me figure out why it's always, yes, booktubers should definitely be making money, or no, booktubers should not be making money, or yes, booktubers should accept sponsorships, or no, I'm sick and tired of booktubers accepting sponsorships. It's so different for every booktuber that you see, and every viewer, that it amazes me every time we have these conversations, because I'm like, how do we come to such a definitive answer when everyone's circumstances, literally all parties involved, everyone's circumstances are different? I have people who are like avid watchers of my channel, and they're like, Ashley, I am never going to join your Patreon because I'm not giving you money. And I'm like, that's mad respect. I respect. You ain't got to grease my pockets. Like, I'm not asking, you know what I'm saying? But then I have people who are like, Ashley, I really love your content. I want to support you. So either way, for me, in my mind, and this is me speaking for me, I can't speak for nobody else. I don't know how many times I had to tell y'all that. I can't speak for nobody but me. I'm not going to knock either person. You do what makes you comfortable. If you don't want to support through Patreon, Amazon wish list, whatever the case, don't do it. I ain't never gonna ask you to do it, because I tell you right now, if I ain't got it, I'm not finna do it for nobody either, because I gotta make sure I got food on my table and gas in my tank at the end of the day. Like, keep it at 100. Like, that's how it has to go. And, you know, and I'm not going to knock the person who's like, you know, Ashley, I do want to, you know, show you support by maybe joining your Patreon, or buying you a book every once in a blue moon, or whatever the case may be. I have even strategically done it in some of my videos where, like, I create the, what is it, like the breakdowns, like where you put the timestamps. That's the word. I don't know, like List Monday. I have created the timestamps where people don't even have to watch the sponsored parts of the videos that I have up that are sponsored. Because if you just are like, hey, I want to watch this video, but honestly, I don't give a damn about what's going on with Book of the Month. I try to make sure, I didn't do it on this last one because, y'all, I was so tired. But typically, I do it to where it's like, you even got to watch it. You don't got to watch it if you don't want to watch it. Like, I try in my channel, once again, I can only speak for my channel. I try in my channel to create an environment where people can choose to be who they are, what they want to do. They can choose to support me how they want to support me, whether that's by watching, commenting, liking, joining Patreon, whether you watch the sponsorships, you click on affiliate, whatever is your comfort level. And that's where the transparency needs to come through. For me, and that's what I believe at the end of the day, you should have a level of transparency where you give people the option. I don't like to push people or put people in a corner where they feel like they must do this or they have to. And I don't really feel like most creators are like that. They're not gonna push you to like financially support them to help them pay their bill. Like I don't genuinely feel like most people are, and I don't work in definitive, so I'm not gonna say all, but I don't feel like most creators are like that. But this conversation just keeps coming full circle, and I wonder if these conversations happen outside of BookTube, because most creators on YouTube who have some type of reach, who have a certain level of engagement, they do get sponsorships. And I wonder, like, what is it about our community where it's like Patreon sponsorships or whatever, like people are like, I just don't want to do it. Like I can't stand that Booktubers do it. And I'm like, but what is it about it that drives you crazy? Is it because you feel like it's oversaturated? Do you feel like it's not genuine? Like what is it? I don't know what it is. I have a tendency to think about sponsorships like that I'm genuinely interested in, that I know that maybe like I'm low-key like, okay, you know, like I actually would be interested in this company even outside of, you know, partnering with them. I think they're pretty cool, or I like their products, or whatever the case may be. Like I don't know what the hang up is on either side. Like it's almost like we can't say, all right, well, you know what, do what makes you feel comfortable. If you want to support a channel, do it. If you don't. If you don't like their Patreon, don't join. If you don't believe in Amazon wish list, don't buy it. You know, and I wonder sometimes too, and this is kind of me thinking out loud, I wonder if it's like the principle of the thing that bothers people. If it's just the idea that a booktuber has a Patreon that bothers people, or the idea that a booktuber can get a sponsorship. Like what is it? What aspect of it just does not, like, people don't like that? I'm not sure, and I don't have all the answers, but I think I have enough to say that I don't think that either party is 100% wrong or right. I think that there is a point where we have to say, you know, it's okay to express your feelings on this, you know, but don't knock the next man. Don't knock the next man for feeling the way that they feel. You know, I'm never gonna look sideways at someone. Like I said before, I'm not gonna look sideways at someone who's like, Ashley, like I F with you the long way, but bro, like you're a Patreon, nah, it's not gonna happen. Like, I'm never gonna look sideways at somebody for that, because it's not their job, nor is it their role, nor is it their responsibility. And it's an option there for people who are like, hey, you know, I have the means, so I want to support your channel in some way, somehow, because I can only speak for me. And, you know, I do, as a single parent, full-time worker, I have a limited amount of time. So I do put a lot into this channel in terms of coming up with content, sitting down here and filming it, editing it, posting it, answering comments. Although we all know Ashley has been extremely slack these past few months because life has just been completely ridiculous. But for me, I know that I do put value into this channel, and I will never say like I won't ever take a sponsorship. I don't ever want to be monetized, or I don't think I should have a Patreon. Like, why not? Why not try it out and open it up as an option to people who may want to do those things, but not shame people either who are like, I just don't believe in doing that. Like, I don't. You know, I don't believe in you having that or putting everything behind a paywall. Like, it kind of ruins things for me. I'm not gonna knock that person's feelings about that. So this is one of those topics that's extremely tough, and I don't think we ever will get to a point where there's like a definitive answer. We won't ever get to a point where it's black and white, where it's Booktubers should or should not make money. They should or should not have sponsors. Like, there's no yes or no, to be honest with you. I think everything is so case by case by case. It's so many different factors. It's so many different circumstances. And I think everyone plays a role in it. Like I said before, creators can play a role in how this stuff is perceived as well, depending upon what you put out there. If you put out a certain level of stuff and then you flip the script and then all of a sudden it's, can you do this for me? People are going to be like, but didn't you just da-da-da-da-da-da? Didn't you just get da-da-da-da? You know? And it's very awkward, like I said before, because we don't really know what that person's circumstances are. And it's not really, in my opinion, for some cases, it's just not our business. I won't ever do anything like that. That's my pride, though. I won't ever. Like, I'm born, breathe, hustling. I hustle. I do what I gotta do to make stuff work. And it's probably too like my mentality when it comes to this channel. Like, I hustle. You know, I do what I gotta do. I mean, I love making content. I love putting things together for y'all, but it does take time. It does take effort. And when someone puts so much into it, you feel like when you reach that point where someone's like, hey, I want to sponsor you, or, you know, we want to create sponsored content with you, it's like, who would say, I mean, there are people who do say no. I mean, there's sponsorships that I've said no to because I'm like, child, no. Like, I had gotten a sponsorship thing from like, or somebody offered me for that, like that diet tea stuff. Nah, like, first of all, I'm plus size. I ain't finna advertise. No, that's just not me. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Plus, I feel like that's just really unhealthy. But there are certain things that like I won't do. But then there's certain things where I'm like, nah, you know, like, I like it. I think it's cool. Yeah, sure, why not? But I wish I had the answers for y'all. I wish I had an easy 1, 2, 3, like, this is how it should be, this is how it should go. That way both content creators and viewers are satisfied. But, you know, the saying goes, man, baby, you ain't gonna please everybody. So, you know, if you are not harming anyone, or if you're not doing anything that's ethically or morally wrong, like, you're not gonna make everybody happy. Whether you choose to disagree with people getting paid for content, or whether you choose to say I'm gonna support, or whether you're a creator who says I want to monetize and have a sponsorship for every video that I put up. You're not gonna please everybody. You're really not. But I do think that we have to be, as creators, I do think we have to be a little bit more careful about leveraging viewers. I think that that's a dangerous game to play, because it is, for me, it becomes kind of an ethics thing where, you know, you shouldn't leverage, like, don't, you know, that taking advantage of people, like, you know, that's kind of that's a tricky thing. That leads into like what I was saying before, where when you start making money, I don't think that this is 100% a hobby anymore. I can't, within like the confines of my soul, I can't see it as that. I don't think that this is just 100% a hobby for me, because I do make money from it. Is it a lot of money? I don't know how much, like, and this is for me. I keep having to reiterate that I can't speak for anybody else, because I feel like some people just need that extra bit. Just that little bit to remind you that, like, I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for Ashley. I don't make that much, so I don't know what people think I'm making like shit. Claiming some of the stuff on my taxes really be hurting me more so in the long run than anything. So it's like, yeah, it's cool. It's like, yeah, you know, like, oh yeah, I make money from YouTube, but it's like, this shit can't sustain me. It can't even pay for half the stuff that I need to be paid for in a week and a half. Let's put it that way. All right, like it really can't. But it is nice. It's nice to know that like you've worked hard, you've gotten to this point, and now, you know, you do see some monetary reward coming from it. I do think that it is a good feeling. It really is a good feeling. And even with the whole process of monetization, it's not as simplistic as people think it is. People think because a video has 10,000 views, you making buku money. There are analytics that go behind it that a lot of people who, even creators, don't realize it. But I think sometimes too, viewers do not realize the complexity that goes behind how much you really get paid for a video. I'm telling you, you can have a video that has 6,000-7,000 views, and there are people out here thinking that we making $150-200 a pop for a video like that, not knowing that sometimes you literally are not even making half of that. Not even half of that. You'd be lucky. It depends. It's so many factors on YouTube that determine what your, you know, CPM is, like, or I could be using the wrong terminology, but how much you're making per 1,000 hits. Sometimes that shit is high and sometimes it's low. And if it's low, you really not making that much from a video that people are looking at. They're like, oh yeah, this video has 10,000 views. I'm not making a lot of money from that video. I think maybe it's just all around. It's this fear of talking about what really happens behind the scenes. It's this fear of talking about how much are we really making. I don't ask anybody to disclose the money they're making because honestly, your financial business is your financial business. I don't even tell close friends what's in my bank because it ain't nobody business what's in my bank account. You don't tell people how you move. I don't know where y'all from, but you don't tell people how you move with certain things. Money being one of them. I don't talk about my money like that. But I think the lack of transparency of like how sponsorships truly do work, because I think sometimes people make comments, whether they're creators, whether they're viewers, they make comments about sponsorships without understanding like how a sponsorship really truly does work and what goes into it. And that honestly, you get scammed. Some of us be getting scammed out here when it comes to sponsorships. Namely, I feel like a lot of people of color get fucking scammed out here when it comes to sponsorships because they don't pay you with like you should be getting paid based on your reach, your subscribers, and all that stuff. You don't get paid like that. I don't know how much people think we make from subscription. Honestly, I really don't make that much from sponsored videos, you know? And negotiating is very interesting too. And depending upon what you look like is there's a lot of nuanced parts and pieces of this. And as a Black woman on this platform getting sponsorships, it's been a hell of a ride. And if I told y'all half of the shit that actually happens behind the scenes when it comes to these sponsorships and really trying to get my worth compared to my white counterparts, you'd be very surprised. You'd be extremely surprised about that stuff. But BookTube has an issue with transparent. I don't know why it's so taboo. It's very taboo to talk about what sponsorships look like, what monetization really looks like. Are you really making much money? Can you sustain? Can you quit a job and be a full-time booktuber? In most cases, you cannot. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if someone says that that's their last dying wish, or I'm going to quit my job and become a full. It ain't realistic. You have to understand too that BookTube within itself is niche in a YouTube community. We're not making as much as some of these like full-time vloggers are making. Like, we don't have that reach. It's certain levels to this shit, and people just don't get that sometimes. But I also think that as creators, we should have a level of respect for viewers. There's also not only like this lack of transparency, but there's also this lack of respect between each other that I think causes issues. And you know, I've had a couple of run-ins with viewers because, you know, oh, you know, you have 5 commercial breaks on an hour-and-a-half long video. It was hard for me to watch this video. Now, naturally for me, I'm like, well, that's going to piss me off because you're literally watching a full-length feature film, literally full-length feature film with 5 commercial breaks, and I'm probably going to make $30 off of this video. No lie to y'all. I have done videos that have been an hour-and-a-half long, and I've made $30 from that video. $30. So when someone complains to me about that, it's like, you know, I get it. If you don't like it, you know, or if you feel like 5 commercial breaks or ad breaks in an hour-and-a-half long video is going to kill your vibe, like, you don't have to watch. I completely understand that. But then the respect from viewer to creator is lost when it's like, you go out of your way without realizing like she's really not making that much money off of an hour-and-a-half long video, and even if the watch time is there, like she's still really not making that much money off of it. So I know that probably was a really long conversation, and I probably didn't answer any of your questions, but that is the point. The point of this whole video is to show you that it is not a yes or no question. It's not black and white. Stop trying to make it black and white and listen to each other. Hear people out sometimes, y'all. Just hear people, even if you don't agree. Sometimes people just want to be heard. And I've had to learn that. The older I get, the more I learn that sometimes it's not about trying to fight somebody on certain things. You know, bigotry, racism, I ain't no like, oh, I'm just gonna, no. But like things like this, sometimes it's just nice to hear the other party out and just be like, all right, you know what? I could respect that you feel that way. This is how I feel about the situation. So, I mean, I always say when it comes to the comments, you know, share how you feel, but keep it classy, like, because y'all not gonna agree. There are gonna be viewers who are like, bro, like, nah, like, some of y'all be real extra with it, and I just don't get down. And okay, there's gonna be people like, well, why not? They put out content for free. Like, why shouldn't they, you know, get sponsorships? Why shouldn't we be able to support them? Why shouldn't they have paid? So just, you know, respect each other's opinions, because you're not going to agree. Agree to disagree. State your opinion. You don't agree. I always tell y'all, listen, it ain't going to kill me for y'all not to agree with me. Like, every conversation that I put on this channel, I tell you, you ain't got to agree with me. Because it's not what it's for. I don't need you to agree with me in order for you to feel comfortable to state your opinion. I've had people who've actively put comments, you know, actually, like, I fuck with you, but I disagree with you. I respect that. We go about our business. So y'all keep that same energy. But as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notification. If you're interested in following me on social media or supporting this channel, I always say this at the end of my videos, the links are down there. If you want to, don't feel obligated to do it. I never want any of y'all to feel pressure to do anything that you don't want to do. You never have to feel that pressure here. I can't speak for nobody else, but here in this space, in this realm, don't you ever feel pressure to do anything that you don't want to do. And on that note, I'm out because I'm tired. Y'all let me know how you feel in the comments below.